sit down to create something and you have no idea what you're gonna do? Yeah. Let's just make something.
Okay, so today we are playing with some brand new Your Next Stamp products. It's the May release, and I have tons of goodies to play with. But today we've got the punny pineapples, and we have some faces from an older Fab-BOO-lous set. This is a piece of Nina Solar White cardstock, and I've got distress paints. I have the rainbow of distress paint, and I'm putting my cardstock in my homemade color cubby. What is up with my purple, my wilted violet? It is like all dried up. They are sending me a new one, but I was totally upset about that. I do have a Dana Wakley mixed media brush. This is for acrylic paint or thicker paints, and I'm just picking up a little bit on the end of my brush and flicking it, flinging it, tapping it, throwing it, all kinds of its onto the cardstock. I'm even kind of using the side of the box and tapping it. I do have a water cup to the right that is slightly off camera, but you're not missing anything. It's filled with yucky, cloudy, muddy water, and I'm using it to clean off my brush in between colors. I even start to paint dots onto my project where it's kind of not flinging or sticking where I want it. Like if I want another dot of yellow or another dot of green, I'm putting it there, you know? I'm putting it there. But I had a blast making these backgrounds, and it's making my little box here gorgeous. This thing is going to be so sparkly and shiny when I have to replace it. It is going to be a beautiful looking box. So I'm just trying to get a fair amount of color on the background of my project. With that purple, with the wilted violet, I just added a little bit of water. They are sending me a new one, so. But with this black cardstock, OMG guys, this is gorgeous. I was unable to use it for my card project because I ended up putting like larger globs of paint like that one, and it was still wet and I couldn't wait any longer. I had to film this video, so it was still drying, but I do show it to you at the end of the video. But it took a little bit longer to dry. I actually let it dry overnight. This panel that I'm actually using only took a little while to dry. So I'm lining up a stamp. It says Tropic, and it's from Punny Pineapples. And I'm using Abandoned Coral Distress Oxide ink to stamp it. And I love the way that turned out. I'm using the sub-sentiment Like It's Hot. Okay, and I'm stamping that on some Lawn Fawn Black Licorice cardstock with some VersaMark ink after prepping it with my EK Success powder tool. So it's going to say, Tropic Like It's Hot. Uh-huh. And I'm using some Hero Arts Ultra Fine White Embossing Powder to emboss that. I heat up my heat tool constantly, like for minutes. Not just a couple seconds. And then when I'm done heating it up, I use this Swiffer dusting cloth to wipe off any excess powder. So there's an image that could be any number of things. I'm not sure what it's meant to be, but I'm using it as like a spill or my popsicle that I'm going to create in a few minutes. It's melting. So this is like an ink splat or some kind of puddle. It could be any number of things, and I'm using the Zing powder. The color is called powder, embossing powder, to heat emboss it on another piece of Nina. And it has a coordinating die in the die set for the Punny Pineapples, and I'm just going to cut it out, and I'm going to use it as underneath one of my popsicles that I'm going to create in a couple minutes, and it's going to be like my popsicle is melting. So that's the purpose behind it. So these other dies are from a from the Beach Scene die set, also by Your Next Stamp, new this month. And I'm using the Really Rainbow paper pad by Fawn. It is gorgeous. I love it. I love looking at it. I have two paper pads, and I'm just cutting out the popsicles that I'm going to use on my project from this rainbow pattern that's in the set. And I'm trying to align it so that it takes a little bit of each of the colors from the rainbow. And I'm just using my sidekick to cut these out. My kids were in the room with me, so if I'm talking or smiling, I'm just loving it that all three of my children were in the room with me. That doesn't always happen. And then I have some Papertrey ink, classic Kraft cardstock, and I'm using to cut out my little popsicle handles. This also could be a shovel. You could make shovels, like a sand shovel. I have some faces from the Fab-BOO-lous stamp set. It's intended to be a Halloween stamp set, but these faces were absolutely adorable. I have some that are smiling and one that's laughing, and I'm just creating the happiest little popsicles. Even though he's melting, he is happy. So I'm just using VersaFine ink to stamp their faces, old school style with an acrylic block. And I'm using some Ranger Multimedia Matte adhesive in my little adhesive syringe there. And I am adhering my popsicle sticks to the popsicle tops, gently placing them and giving them some time to dry. So I'm using the Heffy Doodle Strips of Ease dies to cut out my little Like It's Hot sentiment. I had that song stuck in my head the entire time. I can't believe it wasn't caught on tape. But I'm using some, I think it's Be Creative, I don't know, 1/4 inch double-sided adhesive to adhere some black craft foam to the back of this panel. I think we were watching some videos that my daughter was sharing with me about some Asian supermarket that's local to us. It was really interesting, so that's why I'm watching it and not paying attention to what I'm doing. So I'm popping up the acrylic painted splattered panel, and then I'm using some Scotch 3M foam tape to pop up the little Like It's Hot sentiment under the tropic. Trying to get everything as straight as possible. I really was into that video, so I think it is straight though. I'm also putting some liquid adhesive on my little puddle, and that's adhered flat straight to the card panel. And then I've got some more foam tape popping up each popsicle, just a little bit behind the main part of the popsicle. And then I took some Nuvo crystal drops, I think it's like Simply White, and I just reinforce the whites of their eyes. And then I have a Jelly Roll Stardust shimmer pen. Man, this thing really packs a punch. And I'm just putting a little bit of lines of shimmer on the popsicles. And then so you can see how shiny it is. It's really fun. And please find me on social media. I was testing the black piece to see if it was dry, but it just was not. But here, look how fabulous that looks. I cannot wait to play with that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Coming up next is some embarrassing footage of me. I have the most annoying, loud, uncontrollable scream laugh in the history of the world. Tim likes to film it. Take a look.
I'm sorry, Mommy. I didn't mean to hit you. Okay, stop. I'm sorry.
It hurts. Fucking stop.
Dexter, where did you put the ice? See it. I need to fix mommy's face. Give to me.
Alright. Alright.
I didn't mean to cause that.
I can't even remember what it said!
He said, I make the tea around here.
Oh, the seconds I actually have a volley.
Oh, God.
What's going on, babe?
Stop looking at me! Oh, my hand smells like Ben Gay.
It was icy hot.
I swear to you, there was a product called Ben Gay.
There was, but that's not what we used.
It's